Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Misty Morrison podcast. I'm your host, the wonderful Misty Morrison, and today we are recording episode 14, I think, of Was I in the Wrong? Let's jump right on into the stories. Story number 1 is coming to us from r/AITAH. AITAH for not wanting to go back to my husband after he slapped me. Immediate response, no. But let's read the details. Throwaway for a reason. I, 32 female, have been married to 35 male for 5 years, and we have a 3-year-old daughter. We always had a very good relationship. We love each other a lot, but things took a turn suddenly. We both work in IT, and I make $85,000 a year, and he makes $92,000 a year. Things changed since 2 weeks ago. I got a promotion and became a manager, and my salary was increased to $135,000 yearly, with an additional bonus. When I told him, he was clearly not happy at all, and things started changing, and he got upset and asked me not to accept the promotion and keep working on a same position. And then I told him I worked so hard to reach here, and I am very much qualified for this, and we can make good use of this money for our future. And then he agreed, but on one condition, that I don't let anyone know that I became manager and how much I'm making. I'm not even sure why he wanted that, and he said he just doesn't like others to know that I am making more than him. I just said okay to avoid more fights and chaos because I wanted energy to perform well in my new position. Inside, I was so excited that I couldn't stop myself telling my sister, and my sister told my mom and dad, even though I had asked her not to share it with anyone else. When my parents came over this weekend, they congratulated me, and he got shocked and angry and left the house. But I told my parents that he was just upset with some stuff going on at his job. When he came back late in the night, he confronted me about why I told my parents about it, and I told him I only wanted to share it with my sister. I was so excited, and I wanted to feel proud of how much I worked hard to reach here. But in response, he slapped me so hard that I passed out. When I woke up, he was crying and telling me how sorry he was and begged me not to call the cops or tell my family about this. I was so shocked that I couldn't think of anything, and I didn't want to see my parents worried, and for the sake of my daughter, I stayed, and he kept apologizing. And the next morning, he brought flowers, and the day went on, but later again, he started the same topic, that how the family will not respect him the same they used to, because I am making more than him, and everyone knows about it. He was clearly angry, and I was playing with my daughter, and she started crying because she couldn't find one of her toys. He asked her to be quiet, but she kept crying, and then he slapped her, and that was it for me, and I took my daughter and came to my parents' house. Since Sunday, I've been at my parents' house, but he is continuously calling my parents about how sorry he is and wants me back, and will never do it again. He is literally crying to get me back, and my parents are asking me to give him another chance. He's trying to manipulate everyone by showing emotions and crying. I am so afraid to even talk to him, and I know he will beat me again when he gets a chance. My family is now leaning towards his side and thinking I'm trying to break our home, and I'm overreacting too much. I'm not even sure what to do anymore, but moving to my sister for a few days tomorrow until I figure out what to do. Like I said initially, OP, you are absolutely not the asshole. You are right. I can completely understand, like, one time, like, it happens one time, you forgive him. The way he went over the top with the flowers and everything the next day did to me seem like love bombing, like manipulation. But that's, of course, from an outside lens. And then whenever he did it to your daughter, I think the very next day, I would have immediately left, called the cops. I hope you called and reported it, because now not only is it domestic violence, but also child abuse. Yeah, this is unacceptable. I cannot believe that your parents are on his side. That's crazy to me, blows my mind. Hopefully you'll have an ally in your sister and she'll be on your side. Yeah, that's really scary. I hate that you went through that. I hope you took that position, because you are about to be a single parent household. And you should be very proud, and I'm very happy for you that you got that promotion. All right, story number 2 is coming to us from r/would I be the a-hole? Would I be the a-hole for not inviting my parents to my daughter's 13th birthday dinner? My parents are big on complaining. Oh, initial reaction, no, you're not the asshole. Like, if you're planning the party, you get to veto certain guests, and if it's your daughter's birthday and she doesn't want them there, that's fair. My parents are big on complaining. They complain everywhere they go over the silliest things. Tomorrow, my daughter Avery is turning 13. Every year, we've gone to a different restaurant on her birthday with my parents, and every year they've complained. This year, she wanted to go to this really cool restaurant that has some kind of music and light show they do for birthdays. I just know that my parents will throw a fit because this definitely isn't the type of place you go to for good food. It's a cool and fun experience, but that experience will be ruined for my daughter because my parents are going to make a scene. Yesterday, my parents called and asked where my daughter's birthday dinner will be held, and I said that this year we're going to just do a small family dinner. They got pissed and said I'm depriving them of seeing their only grandchild. It's not like this is the only time of year they see her, though. They pick her up from school almost every day, and she hangs out with them for 1 to 2 hours. I know that it'd be a bad idea to let them come, but I really feel like I'm going to give in, and I'm honestly considering if I'm being dramatic. Would I be the a-hole for not inviting my parents to my daughter's 13th birthday dinner? I stand by my initial stance. No, you would not be the a-hole for that. There's clearly a pattern of behavior. You know what's going to happen, and you're completely right. Them getting upset will ruin the experience for your daughter because she's going to remember them getting upset. The only thing that I think you should do differently is to tell them the truth and explain to them why they're being excluded from this dinner. Because they cannot act appropriately in public, because they complain about silly things and ruin the experience. They're allowed to feel how they feel about it, yes, but they don't have to voice it in front of everyone at the table. They don't have to make a scene. So I would just explain that to them, that you want to make sure that this is a wonderful experience for, her first teenage year, and to make sure that it's a wonderful experience she gets to remember positively. They're not invited due to their previous behavior. And they will, I'm sure, be shocked. They will still be upset. But, at that point, you're laying the ground for this boundary. If you continue to act this way at future events, you will be invited to less and less. And that is 1,000% fair. All right, story number 3 is coming to us from r/AITA_WIBTA_public. AITA for telling my ex I miss us when she dropped off her baby. I, 20 male, have a 1-month-old daughter with my ex-girlfriend, 19 female. We broke up during her pregnancy because things got too stressful and we were arguing all the time. Neither of us were perfect, but we both agreed it was best to separate. Since our daughter was born, we've been trying to co-parent peacefully. She usually drops our daughter off at my place for my scheduled time with her. Last night when she brought the baby over, she looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, the kind of tired look that comes from barely sleeping. As she handed me our daughter, I don't know what came over me, but I just said, I missed us. She blinked, then scoffed, clearly caught off guard. She asked if I was serious, and when I told her I just missed when things weren't so hard between us, she sighed and crossed her arms. She said it wasn't fair for me to say things like that she was trying to move forward, not back, and I couldn't do this to her. I told her I didn't mean to make things complicated, but she cut me off, saying she knew that, but it didn't change the fact that it wasn't okay. For a second, she looked like she wanted to say something else, but instead, she just shook her head and told me to take care of our daughter before leaving. A few hours later, she texted me, reminding me not to say things like that again. I told her I understood, but now I feel like I overstepped. I do miss what we had, but I also know we broke up for a reason. I wasn't trying to guilt trip her or ask to get back together. I just blurted it out in the moment. AITA? Yes. Yes, 1,000%. You are the asshole. You are wrong. It's one thing if you did it with good intentions, wanting to rekindle something that you felt was still there, trying to rebuild that relationship, but you didn't. You said you broke up for a reason. You weren't trying to ask to get back together or guilt trip her, but when you said that, it did make her feel guilty. When you said, I miss us, it sounds like you thought things were good. You want things to be back the way they were before. And at that point, you are kind of putting it on her like, oh, she's not willing to give it another chance, so it's her fault you guys aren't together. Yes, you absolutely guilt tripped her. And that was wrong, and you should, I think, did you say you apologize? Yeah, you said you didn't mean to make things complicated, but you did. So she texted you, reminding you not to say things like that again. So at the very least, you should be texting her back and saying, I understand why what I did upset you. I am sorry. It won't happen again. I will do better to control those outbursts or something along those lines. Just apologize, be sincere, and, tell her it's not going to happen again so she can feel safe. All right. Story number 4 is coming to us from r/AITAH. AITA for refusing to consider being an organ donor for my abusive father, even after my siblings begged me to save him. Initial reaction, no, you don't owe him anything. And you don't owe the siblings anything either. My father was abusive to me, 20s male, but was never abusive to my siblings, all 8+ years younger than me. We're full siblings. He is my father as much as theirs. But he always treated me like shit, and our mother allowed it, so I don't have anything too nice to say about her either. In her own way, she tried to be there for me, but she didn't save me from him, and she sure as hell didn't prioritize making my life better. The abuse my father inflicted on me was physical and emotional, and it lasted my entire childhood. I know he never did the same to my siblings. They told me, and I know not everyone can see it, but I have witnessed him with them, and the difference is night and day. I'd even say he was a good parent to them, and if I didn't exist, he could be called a good father overall. But I was there, and he did abuse and hate me. He didn't care what happened to me. I'm not going into specifics about which organ or what his condition is, but my father is now sick and needs a transplant. Think kidney or liver. I'll also say it wasn't self-inflicted, this condition, because I know that gets asked when stuff like this comes up. My mother and siblings were all tested and didn't match. My father... My father's siblings and some of their kids were tested, and there wasn't a match. Some of his friends got tested, and they weren't a match. They have him on the transplant list, but he gets sicker, and they don't know if a match will come forward in time. My siblings reached out to me to ask me to get tested and donate if I'm a match. They told me it's looking really bad and he could die. They said they can't lose him, and they know I hate him. They know he put me through hell and abused me, but they wanted me to do it for them instead of him, so they can have him for another however many years. They were pleading and frantic and even offered to make sure I got some money from our parents to make up for everything. I felt bad for them and how awful they felt. But I told them I couldn't put myself through something like that to save his life. I said even for them, it was too big of an ask. They brought up how serious this is again, and I told them I know, but it won't be from me if he gets what he needs. I told them I needed them to accept it and focus on being there with him. They said some stuff after. I won't go into it all, and I'm not even mad because they're still so young and their experience with the man is so different than mine. None of them were ever abused. But I have grappled with should I have agreed for them. At least getting tested and knowing if everyone else wasn't a match, the likelihood I would be was tiny anyway, and I could have spared them the upset. AITA? Oh, no, you are not the asshole. You're right. I want to start my comments at the end of your post, where you're asking if you should have got tested anyway. No, I think that would have been bad because if you had been a match, you still would have said no, and that would have been worse, them knowing that you had the power to save him and refused. Definitely don't get tested if you know you don't intend to donate. Your feelings about this situation are valid, and I can see why they asked. I mean, I respect the reasons why they asked and the way they approached it, saying, you're not doing something for him, you're doing something for us. But in reality, you're doing something for all of them. Your reason, if you did do it, would be for them, but ultimately, you would be saving the person who didn't care if you lived or died. And I can see why you wouldn't want to do that. He never cared whether you lived or died, so why should you care and go out of your way to make sure he lives? What they asked of you is very unfair, and I'm sorry you were even put in that position to have to tell them no, but you did the right thing. They know why you're saying no, and I hope that they can come around. Ultimately, if he does die from this condition, it will be hard for them to come around. But if you have a good relationship with them, I hope that they can understand why you wouldn't be willing to put yourself through hours of surgery, the recovery, pain, medication, everything. To have a surgery go under anesthesia for someone who wouldn't have cared if you died. Yeah, I don't blame you. You are right. And I hope that your relationship with your siblings can survive this. Story number 5 is coming to us from r/AIO. Family member wants handmade gift for my late child back. There's not enough information there for me to give an initial. I lost my amazing but only child to cancer last summer. It's been really hard. When she was still here, a family member had a beautiful blanket made for my daughter with all her favorite colors, etc. My daughter loved it. 2 weeks after she passed, this family member asked if she could have the blanket back to give to her granddaughter instead. When I was ready, I was flabbergasted. I think I nodded in agreement at the time because it was not a battle I was willing to choose at that time, and I actually felt I needed to process what she asked because I couldn't have possibly heard her right. Fast forward until 2 weeks ago when a family disagreement came up and I finally told this person no. She could not have the blanket, and I was offended she even thought that was an option. Somehow she is victimizing herself and saying I'm being disrespectful and dramatic. Again, my guests are flabbered. Am I overreacting? Edit to clarify, this relative had a separate third party make the blanket. I imagine it cost her a pretty penny, and maybe she wrongly feels entitled to it back. But all that aside, she doesn't deserve the blanket, and I do intend to forward this post to her as my formal goodbye. Thank you all. No, you're not overreacting. OP, you are not overreacting. You are absolutely right. To ask for a gift back is bad at all. But to ask for the gift back only 2 weeks after you lost your child is insane. Insane. My flappers are gasted. Yeah, you do not need that person in your life at all. Oh, that's bad. Yeah. No, and the fact that she had the audacity to expect that you would return it, makes it worse. Because I don't know why you would expect that. Like, you freely gifted it to the little girl. She loved it. She enjoyed it. And so you have those memories of her loving it and enjoying it. And it is completely expectable, understandable, and within your rights to want to hold on to that. So you are right. Yeah. Give her the formal goodbye. Be done with her. All right. Story number 6 is coming to us from r/would I be the a-hole? Would I be the a-hole if I did not invite someone on my senior year trip? Initial reaction, depending on the reason why, is no. If it's like a separate trip that you're doing, you get to decide who comes with you. Hey Reddit, I don't post on here really, so this is a throwaway. Hey Reddit, I don't post on here really, so this is a throwaway. I'm just looking for some objective opinions on this issue. I, 22 female, am a senior in college. Me and my friends group, about 5 other girls, are currently planning our last trip together while in school. We are doing a 2-week-long trip through Europe, so it's kind of a time and money commitment. We met Kim, fake name, 23 female, last semester after moving in to our apartment and found out she was our neighbor. At first, she seemed perfectly fun and nice, but the more the entire group got to know her over the course of the semester, the more issues came up. The main issue we began to have with her was her constant complaining and negativity. Whenever we would hang out together, one on one or in a group, she would find something to complain about. For example, we were wanting to go out to eat one night and were sending options. She said that we should pay extra for a nicer place because she doesn't want to risk food poisoning. We picked this mid-range Indian food place, and the whole time she complained about the price of each item. Other instances include making all of us leave bars or clubs early because she wants to go home, and even though we have offered to call her Ubers, she refuses and says she doesn't like taking public transportation alone. Kim also does not have much personal awareness, as one of our friends brought up missing her mom, 5-hour flight away, and Kim asked why she couldn't just visit for a weekend. Our friend explained that cost-wise it wasn't realistic for her mom and she couldn't take off of work. Kim then proceeded to brag that her mom owns her own business and can visit Kim whenever she wants. Lastly, she brings up the cost of things quite often. All the while, she brags about her family's money, what her boyfriend buys her. Here is why I might be the asshole. While we have started planning our trip, flights booked, Kim has started mentioning that it is her dream to explore Europe, and she wants to plan a trip with all of us for our senior year last hurrah. We know she really wants to go. However, none of us are wanting to have a trip full of negativity and complaining that would hold us back from doing some fun things we'd want to do. Our sophomore year, we started talking about this trip, and I personally have been saving what I can for this trip since. We are worried that we are all going to ask off 2 weeks of work from our jobs, spend thousands of dollars, and be unhappy because one person is unwilling to be flexible and finding everything to complain about. I truly don't mean to be rude when I speak about this. I feel like we all have given her the benefit of the doubt on several occasions. What is making me feel weird about this situation is that she's going to be heartbroken when she sees us all together in Europe. I know how that is going to make her feel, and that makes me feel awful because I never want to hurt anyone. But I also don't want to sacrifice everyone else's hard work and time put into planning this trip. Ugh. You are absolutely not the a-hole. You are right. And we'll get into some ways to handle it. But my initial thought I've been thinking since halfway through is spending time with those people who cannot be happy. The people who complain about everything, who make people bend to try to make them happy and then end up still being unhappy and complaining about everything. Those are the most exhausting people. So exhausting. So I completely understand why you would not want to ruin this trip by inviting her, because from what you've written here, you would be ruining this trip by inviting her, because she's going to make you pick more expensive places and then still be dissatisfied or disappointed. Nothing's going to be good enough. So, it sounds like she's saying that she would love a Europe trip. It doesn't sound like she knows about the trip that is actively booked and planned. And she hasn't asked to go. So, if she does find out about it, or if you guys tell her and she asks to go, just be honest with her. No one's personal awareness or awareness of their behaviors and the situations that they've caused will ever be increased if no one tells them the truth. Yes, it will hurt her. But there's ways you definitely don't have to be rude about it. She's definitely going to still feel like it's mean, but you don't have to be rude about it. Being honest is not automatically rude. If she asks to go, I would just say, we actually, we already booked everything. We just decided that, the 5 of us really wanted to go, just us. And if she asks why, I feel like she probably will, then you tell her the truth. If she asks, why wasn't I invited? Well, you have this history of complaining about little things, about, making us change plans and then still being dissatisfied with the outcome in the end. And we just want to make sure this is a really enjoyable trip. We don't want the negativity. And, you tend to be pretty negative when we're all together. And that is a fair and honest thing to say. And you are not responsible for her feelings about that or the way she receives that information. Because from the sounds of it, she's going to take it personally. She's going to be upset about it. But her feelings about it are not your responsibility. So you are right. Just, handle it with kindness when it comes up. Or if you're worried about it and you don't want to get like calls from her when you guys are overseas and you start posting your pictures, just all get together so no one has to handle that situation alone, and be upfront with her. Say, hey, we're going to be gone these days. We're going on this trip. And that would probably be a better way if you all sit her down and discuss it together. That way it's not just one person saying, well, you've behaved this way. Everyone can chime in and say, yeah, you really have. So you are right. And enjoy your wonderful overseas trip. It sounds like you guys are going to have a blast. All right, that is us done for today. That is 6 stories for episode 14 of Was I in the Wrong? If you are listening on podcast, leave a 5-star review if you like the content. Share it with a friend. It helps the channel grow. If you are watching on YouTube, leave a comment with your thoughts on the stories. Like the video, subscribe for more, and share it with a friend. Thanks for watching. Bye.